Tell me, what's your worst fear? Are you frightened by the skittering of bugs, the depths of the ocean, the touch of a woman, or maybe even the dark? I hope so, because today we're talking about fears, phobias, what makes us truly afraid. After reading about them, I'll sort the fears by how reasonable they are, or just how scared I am of them. And hey, even if you weren't fazed by any of the stuff I just mentioned, don't worry. You'll crack eventually. Mites, grasshoppers, cockroaches. Ugh. These creatures are dreaded by many. In fact, approximately 25% of the human population is scared of bugs. This phobia is called Equinophobia, or the fear of insects. Now, I really get this one because bugs suck. The long, thin legs, those huge compound eyes, the pincers that some of them have that just go. I'll pull up to something here. Ugh. In addition to their grotesque appearance, bugs have a tendency to appear where they aren't wanted. For example, the other night I was going to get a glass of water. It was about 11 p.m. and I feel something on my leg. I look down, horror taking my body, and I see it. It was a spider crawling up my shin like I was already dead. Fortunately, I was able to shake it off and trap it in a glass. And after all the torment it put me through, the horror of it all, I spared it. I let that thing go. It's still out there. A week has gone by and I still wonder if I made the right decision. Also, I know that technically the fear of spiders is a whole other thing, arachnophobia, but I don't care. It's a bug. It should also be noted that I'm not biased. In fact, I love honey, and those little fuzzy bees are actually kind of cute. That being said, I don't feel the same about any other bug. I'm gonna put Equinophobia at 3. I don't like bugs, but I'm not really scared of them. They're just kind of gross. All right, now that those skittering savages are out of the way, let's talk about water. Stay hydrated, by the way. Thalassophobia is described as the fear of large bodies of water, either because of the potential isolation from land, the creatures that could live within, or just, it's big bodies of water. Too big for even me. This is a rational fear. Humans weren't really made for water, and because of that, it's pretty easy to feel anxious or scared when around large areas of it. Ever been to the beach? It's a beautiful place, don't get me wrong, but whenever I'm there, all I can think of is how a riptide could drag me out to sea, or a sudden misstep could get me stabbed by a stingray. In addition to this, sharks exist, and while not often, attacks do happen. That's not good. And all the worries I've described so far are just things I think about at the edge of the water, not when it gets really deep. Imagine, for instance, that you're stranded on some solitary raft in the middle of the Pacific. Not only are your chances of survival incredibly slim, but the waters directly under you could house a whole menagerie of terrifying sea creatures. Great whites, giant squids, killer whales, which, by the way, are the size of a bus. That's a bus. That's a bus. Also, those are just the known predators of the deep. Since we know more about our moon than we do about the ocean, it is very possible that something bigger is out there. Water is not cool at all. I'm gonna put thalassophobia at 2. It's pretty scary. Trypophobia is the fear of clustered holes or bumps, which is really odd. I'm not saying I like these pictures, absolutely not, but am I scared of them? No. It's said that people have trypophobia because in the past, dangers would appear in these sorts of clusters like bugs, snakes, honeycomb. But that's not what this is. These are just holes. I'm gonna put trypophobia at 7. If you have it, I'm so sorry. All right, we're about to get into the really cool stuff, but first, I need to catch my breath. It's a long way down. Acrophobia, or the fear of heights, is a great example of what I like to call common sense. When you're high up somewhere, it's only natural to feel at least a little anxious. After all, gravity kills you. Just take it from Franz Richer, a Hungarian man who attempted to conquer acrophobia once and for all. He invented a suit that could theoretically transform into a parachute if someone had to jump from an extreme height. After many successful tests with dummies, Franz was confident enough to try his idea out himself. And so, on February 4th, 1912, Franz jumped off the Eiffel Tower with his little parachute thing, and it failed to activate, and he fell and he died. He plummeted to his death. He died horribly. So why do I think acrophobia is a good fear to have? It keeps you in check and aware of your surroundings. Sure, some people are way too scared of heights, and that can cause you to miss out on some pretty great opportunities like hang gliding or just sitting at the edge of a cliff. It's really fun. Even so, someone who isn't scared at heights in the slightest has the exact opposite problem, and they're probably gonna freaking die. Acrophobia is going at 5. It's a good fear to have, but heights aren't really that scary unless you're at the top of one. Equinophobia is the fear of horses, and it's a phobia that one of my very best friends has. Now, I love horses, but I still understand that they're pretty large animals with the potential to do some pretty terrible stuff even if on accident. For example, if a horse is scared enough, it can initiate a swift kick more than strong enough to shatter your skull. Wild horses exist and they see humans and dogs as a pretty big threat. They'll bite and kick and maybe even charge you if threatened. Even so, I don't think anyone should really be afraid of horses. I mean, come on. Horses are pretty freaking awesome, and they were the first cars. While they can attack people, it's pretty rare, and horses are generally calm and kind animals. I'll put Equinophobia at 8. It's only slightly more reasonable than the stupid whole thing. Oh no. Oh no! Hey, I'm gonna be honest with you. This next phobia is really scary. Like, if you can handle these next few minutes, you're fearless. The fear of women, or gynophobia, is a fear most common in males ages 10 to 20. Many report feeling extremely frightened when in the same room as a woman, especially one they find attractive. Now, don't get me wrong, I love women, they're awesome, but I do understand why someone might be scared at the sight of one. You see, some women are attractive, and it can be intimidating to speak with them. I think gynophobia may just be the fear of rejection, especially at the hands of some pretty girl. I'm putting it at 7 though. Women are truly something else. If you aren't scared yet, wow. Heights, bugs, even women don't faze you. I see you. You aren't scared of holes or water. Well, guess what? That ain't it. If you can, turn all the lights off for this next one. Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night surrounded by the complete darkness of your room? You lie still, safe and sound, but something doesn't feel right. The blackness of the night prevents you from seeing anything around you, and even safe under your covers, you for an instant hear a faint crack or thud coming from just beyond the foot of your mattress. You should go back to sleep. You know that, but a feeling of dread washes over you, keeping you wide awake. Is there something there? No, of course not, but still, now that your tired eyes have somewhat adjusted to the dark, you swear you can make out something moving just beyond your gaze. Is there something there? You ask yourself again. After all, there are only 2 options when it comes to the dark. Either there is something hiding within, or there's nothing at all. Is there a figure standing in the corner of your room? Or is it just a trick of your imagination? Nyctophobia, or the fear of the dark, is an extremely common phobia, and for good reason. When in the dark, you and I are so incredibly vulnerable, so weak without our sight. And to compensate for the absence of anything, our brains will eventually make up things that might not even be there. In various different tests, people have been shown to not only see, but also hear various things when isolated in the dark. In 2021, a woman named Beatrice Flamini attempted to stay in a cave for 500 days straight. She set up GoPros around her in the darkness just to document her adventure. In January of 2022, Beatrice began to hear a strange noise, the sound of something enormous dragging across the floor. She swears it's not paranoia to the cameras, says that, in fact, there's a giant creature in the cave with her. Despite her misgivings, the GoPros pick up no such noise, and alas, it was just a hallucination. Beatrice couldn't possibly know that, though. The dark was so blindingly black that how could she know there wasn't something right in front of her? That's just the thing. That's why nyctophobia is so prevalent. Anything could be behind the veil of the darkness. Even if you could, do you really want to shine a light on whatever's right in front of you? I'm putting nyctophobia at 1. Almost everyone has it, including me, and it's terrifying. Thanks for watching the video. It's insane to me that this channel has grown at all, but I'm gonna keep going. You should keep watching. I'll see you next week. Bye!